Hello there, and welcome to this action-packed double episode of the Movies in Focus podcast. I'm Niall Brown. On this podcast episode, I'm joined by not one, but two iconic action film directors. First up is Martin Campbell, the director of the acclaimed James Bond films Goldeneye with Pierce Brosnan and Daniel Craig's Casino Royale. Then I'm joined by Simon West, the director of the iconic 90s Nicolas Cage pick Con Air and Lara Croft Tomb Raider starring Angelina Jolie. Martin Campbell was discussing his new film Cleaner, a high-rise action pick starring Star Wars star Daisy Ridley and Clive Owen. Not only do we discuss the practicalities of making an action film, but we also cover 30 years of Goldeneye, the legacy of James Bond, as well as why we haven't had a legacy sequel to his brilliant 1998 film, The Mask of Zorro, starring Antonio Banderas and Catherine Zeta-Jones. This was my third time interviewing the great Simon West, so we had fun talking about keeping interviews fresh, as well as his new comedic action film, Old Guy. Shot and set in Belfast, the film stars the eclectic combination of Christoph Waltz, Cooper Hoffman and Lucy Liu. Simon talks about filming in Belfast and why he was so eager to ditch the stereotype of Northern Ireland's violent past and shoot the province as a contemporary European location. This really is an entertaining episode, and as always, I hope you enjoy what we have to talk about.
Hi Niall, how are you?
I'm good. Can I just say it's an absolute pleasure to talk with you today. I can't believe 30 years ago I went to see Goldeneye, and I wouldn't have believed 3 decades on I'd be interviewing the man who directed it. So it really is.
Oh yeah, thanks. That's a lot. My God, wow, you must have been young when you saw that then.
15.
Jeez.
15.
Were you?
Yeah.
God.
Which was the perfect film to watch as a 15-year-old in 1995.
Yeah.
You know, you couldn't get better than that.
Well, Bond, what can I tell you?
Yeah, I know it must have been strange then, having sort of pretty much 30 years of Bond fans talking to you then, and then it's probably a question that's dogging you on this press tour as well, just constantly Bond, Bond, Bond.
Yeah, but they're good, to be honest. They bring it up, but unfortunately, it doesn't dominate as it used to. I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't dominate the interviews at all, so which is good.
But we're here to talk about Cleaner, which was a film that really subverted my expectations. It went in a place I didn't think it would go.
Good. That's exactly what was intended.
Because when it was pitched to you, but the trailer sort of sells it as a Die Hard type movie, and it's really not. Is that something that you wanted to really sort of surprise people with the concept and make them think they're getting Die Hard, but they get something else?
No, look, we knew you'd be compared to Die Hard because it was a skyscraper. It was one, in our case, it was a woman. It wasn't Bruce Willis. And it involved terrorism. So, all of those elements are with Die Hard, but the story is entirely different. And to be honest, I never, ever, the story is so different to Die Hard, basically. And not least because the terrorists are, I think, way more interesting in a way that, or should I say, the group is way more interesting. The group than perhaps the Die Hard ones were, but and also it's a woman protagonist. She's a cleaner. She cleans windows, which is every woman, if you see what I mean. It's a kind of everyman kind of situation. And that really appealed to me, I have to say. And the combination of also the emotional spine being Daisy's relationship with her brother, her autistic brother, which is as I say, the emotional beat to the movie is that. And someone who she's neglected for most of her life, and who by the end of the movie there's reconciliation and they come together. So, and that again was interesting. So, and very different from Die Hard.
And Daisy Ridley, we've seen her in Star Wars, obviously doing action things, but never anything this grounded as an action hero. How did she come to being cast in the film?
Well, believe it or not, she was cast when I came on the film. And I'd seen her in Star Wars. She did a great job on the first one, which was the only one I'd seen. I saw her in after that, even after I finished working with her, she did A Young Woman in the Sea, which was a terrific film, really good. She was brilliant in that. And so her range is very wide. I mean, and also Star Wars, she could do the action. She had that in Star Wars. So the combination was perfect for someone like Daisy. And I think she does a terrific job in the film.
She does. I mean, the physicality of her role is great. I mean, especially that stuff on the sort of what would you call it, the leg cart?
Oh yeah, yes. Well, it's a cradle they call it.
Cradle.
I think. Yeah, and she's there by herself, and to keep the tension up, everything else. I mean, she was great on it, I thought.
And was that all filmed inside, or was there outside? Because I mean, it looks pretty flawless to my eye as being.
Yeah, to be honest, most of it was done inside. Obviously, you can't. Are you in Ireland at the moment?
I am. Yep.
Yeah. Well, you've been to. I don't know if you've been to the financial district in London, Canary Wharf. There's that building, Canada One, I think it's called. That's the building we used, and I think we shot 3 days or 3 nights, and we shot 1 day. Plus, we did all the plates. But obviously, the cradle stuff you can't shoot 700 feet up on the side of a building at night. Apart from everything else, it's illegal. So we had to do it in the studio, obviously. but again, all the cradle work and so forth was fairly intricate and so forth. We had to storyboard all that and get it worked out and so forth. But for all that, the important thing is that was to make people believe you're absolutely on the side of the building. And of course, Daisy contributed to that a lot by her acting. Yeah,
I mean, the action sequences. I mean, obviously, you've directed action sequences throughout your career, but they're very visceral. There's a great scene which is in the boiler room or whatever that sequence is.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's a really standout sequence. What are the mechanics of filming a sequence like that? How long does it take, and what difficulties do you face doing that sort of thing?
Well, first of all, you have to. It's got to be rehearsed thoroughly because people can get hurt. The thing is that you also need an actor that's committed to doing it. Well, Daisy was definitely that. And while she had days off, while we were filming other stuff and so forth, she would be rehearsing those sequences with the stunt arranger, and she would be spending the day with them. And she did a lot of rehearsal. So that when you come to do it, it's all been rehearsed, right? And everybody knows what they're doing. The other girl she fights I think in the first sequence, she was a stunt girl. We virtually didn't have to double it. Daisy did most of that herself. Probably 95% of it was her. We didn't have to double it all because she had rehearsed it. She's very good at action. And again, rehearsal is the secret to all of that. Rehearsal and planning, and with with your tightish schedule, because it was an independent film, you don't have time to improvise. You have to, you just have to plan it and get it done.
And another actor in the film is Clive Owen, who you've worked with previously. And again, I won't put spoiler warnings before this, so don't worry. But his character sort of bows out relatively sort of shortly into the film. Was that a purposeful bit of casting where you think that his character is going one direction and it doesn't?
Well, that was in the writing of the movie. We had, the writer Simon Utley did a very good job on that. It was for me that was really fascinating. The actual story within the group, right, within the terror, I thought was something I hadn't seen before, which is basically a coup d'état within the group itself. Two different philosophies. You had Clive Owen, who was the activist, right? What he was doing, I think, was what he should have been doing, which is He takes these people hostage. He gets the management team to admit to all the horrors that they've committed, right, in terms of the environment, for the sake of their shareholders and so forth, because he wants to put that out, make it public knowledge. Whereas you have a generation younger in the Taz version, Taz being Noah, who believes that's not enough. You have to make a huge gesture to make any lasting impression. So he, of course, is the what do you call the anti-humanist side of things, an organization which kind of exists in a way. I mean, he believes that the Earth will regenerate if you get rid of all human beings, which of course is totally psychotic in one sense. So you have these two entirely different agendas, right, within the group, and obviously you have this conflict between both parties, which I thought made it much more interesting.
And just before we go, I've just got one final question, and you've probably asked a billion Bond questions, but what I have to ask you is, why have we not had another Zorro film with a passing of the mask to a younger generation? I mean, they're making sequels to everything. Why have we not had a legacy Zorro?
Well, of course, the ideal thing would be to have Banderas playing the Anthony Hopkins part.
Yeah.
Why haven't they done it? God knows. I mean, it's entirely down to them. Whether it's a studio picture, obviously, because I think it was Sony who made it Columbia. So it's down to whether they, whether they're prepared to finance it. These days, of course, with so many superhero movies and so forth, the kind of Zorro type budget is a middling budget, if you see what I mean. And frankly, they don't make those movies anymore.
And that is
you don't see them. They just don't do them. I wish to God they did. Perhaps if they did, it would they would be successful. But with the advent of the superhero movie, it's completely changed the balance of what the studios are prepared to make and what they're not prepared to make.
Well, I'll always keep my fingers crossed that it does happen. So, Martin, can I just say thank you for your time today? It's been great.
Fantastic. Thanks very much indeed, man.
And now for my conversation with Simon West.
Hi, Simon.
Hi, Nell. How are you?
Not too bad. I'm sure you're sort of on a junket today, so it must be a whirlwind for you, is it?
Yes. But I'm sure your questions will be different to everybody else's.
I will try. Well, I've interviewed you twice before. I first interviewed you for Gun Shy back in 2017 and Skyfire back in 2020. So I've had to sort of refresh all my questions that I've asked you previously.
Oh, good. I can't wait.
And I also have to say that the first contact we had was the 20th celebration of Con Air. So you sent me this pink bunny, which I've managed to dig out. So
God, was it that big? Jeez, I thought we were sending out ones about this big. I didn't know
no,
it was that big.
It was that big, yeah. And there's the
Jesus
celebratory. So I've managed.
Somebody misordered. I think they were supposed to be that big. Yeah. Okay.
I've just got somebody's stat, so I apologise in advance.
No. Anyway, great. So what can I do for you?
Well, I mean, I love the movie Old Guy. I'm somebody who I lived outside Belfast, and I know Belfast well.
I can tell.
Yes. So it was great to see an action movie shot in Belfast. Was that where it was originally set?
No, it was set in the States, and when I read it, I thought, I said, well, yeah, it could be in the States, and it was between LA and San Francisco, the two different things. But I didn't think there was that much contrast between LA and San Francisco. And because I live in the UK, I said, well, it doesn't really matter. This could be shot in Africa or Australia or wherever. It's really about the three characters. And so you just need a geographical difference. So, there's a little bit in London and then the rest is all in Belfast. I just needed a little bit of a journey for the road movie part of it. And so Belfast, fitted that perfectly. And it's great to be able to shoot it for Belfast because, a lot of people go there and shoot and, and cover up that it's Belfast. Games of Thrones obviously was not set in Belfast, but was shot there. And so things like that. So it's nice not to do all the sleight of hand, and you could just like shoot wherever you want, and shoot the best bits, and hear the voices, and not go like, we're supposed to be somewhere else. So yeah, that's a good part of it.
And another great thing, which it's possibly the only thing that's been set in Belfast that, and I don't think it did, but it doesn't allude to the Troubles at all. It really sort of bases it on its modern interpretation, which I thought was brilliant.
Yeah, because to me that was, that's not what the film's about, and it's like, I'm sure it's not what everybody every day is thinking and talking about. It's like, it's part of history, obviously, but there's a lot of other stuff going on in the world, and that's the story. Why can't you tell a story that's not about the Troubles in Belfast? It's like, why? There's a million other stories in that city, in that area. So yeah, so definitely didn't want to. They said, "Do you want to go and shoot the murals and all that?" And you go like, "No, I don't want to." That's got nothing to do with it. It's like.
Yeah, no, I applaud you for doing it, because it really was. It's felt. I mean, it was shot like a vibrant European city, which it is, and sort of the story led it down the path where you have these crime lords or whatever it might be. So I thought, well done.
Yeah.
I really sort of.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah. Also, didn't shoot any Titanic stuff, because that's also another thing. Like, don't go to Belfast and shoot Titanic.
Well, did you have a do's and don't list when you did film it?
Just a little one. Yeah. Well, we did shoot outside the Titanic Museum, because it's such a beautiful building.
Yeah.
So the museum. So, but I didn't identify it as that.
And I mean, to go back, so it's set in Belfast, but you've got a really eclectic cast, like Christoph Waltz. And how did the cast come together? Because again, it adds a real. There are people you wouldn't expect to see in a movie, and then transplanted in Belfast. So how did the casting come about?
Yeah, I wanted a sort of an exotic mix, again, because it's an international. It starts in London, and London is like that. It's like there's hundreds of different nationalities and languages and everything, and so you're going to find every sort of person in there. And so I just went for the best actors for the parts, not going, well, it has to be someone from this part of the town or this part of the country, and Christoph is obviously Austrian, but I made him Polish in this because it was a little bit more adaptable to being his mother emigrating to Belfast, and we had the backstory of his Polish father was in the shipbuilding, and that's how he got to Belfast, and then Lucy Liu is just an exotic character, who runs a nightclub of ill repute, and just wanted someone that had some gravitas in that, who was going to, as soon as she came on the screen, you go, that is an exotic, powerful woman, and Cooper is just this weird Gen Z alien, and you don't know where he's from, but he dresses like he's from another, planet, and at least that's what Christoph's character thinks. Obviously he's not that strange, in our world, but to Christoph, who's locked in the 90s, he's never seen anybody dressed like that or paint their nails, or or doesn't drink alcohol. I mean, the idea of someone not drinking at that age, to Christoph, is his character anyway, is anathema. So it's like putting these strange characters together was part of the fun of it, and you don't know where they're from originally, how they got there. It's all part of the mystery, really.
Yeah, I mean, and that is the beauty of it. I mean, it's a culture clash buddy movie, which obviously these people never get along, and the age difference as well. But one of the things, I mean, Christoph Waltz, he's been in a multitude of movies. He's never been, as far as I could know, an action hero. What made you choose him for that role, or what made?
Well, it wasn't really the action part of it. I chose him because of the degenerate part of the character, really. Because I like to stir it up. I mean, obviously he's a brilliant actor, but it's also playing against type. Is that giving people something interesting, and also giving him something interesting to do, because instead of being the buttoned up type, in control person that some people might think he is or plays, getting to play this out of control, larger than life guy who's like got great sense of humor, loves people, gets on with everybody. He gets on with women, he gets on with guys. He's a bon vivant. He drinks, he eats. that is not what a lot of people think of as Christoph. So I think it was like, to me, it was intriguing to put him in that situation, and that's why I'm sure that's why he was attracted to it, because he got to play something he doesn't normally play, and it'd be more fun and show the audience a different side of him that is refreshing. Because we've seen a million hitmen movies where they're ruthless. You could do the version with Christoph as this buttoned up, polished professional who like is a machine, and no friends, no family, but that's not that interesting, because we've seen it a million times. But to give him a mother, who makes him clean out the gutters when he goes home, and is trying to fix him up with Lucy Liu and hoping they're going to get married and things like that, it's more interesting for a hitman than the usual route, I think.
And talking about going against type, there's plenty of action in the film, but there's a lot of character development, and maybe people wouldn't associate that with you as a film director. With the relationships, again, there's a father-son relationship, there's the mother-son, there's the relationship between Lucy Liu and Christoph Waltz. Is that something that attracted you to the film, that those character moments?
Are you saying that the moment between Chuck Norris and Sylvester Stallone in Expendables 2 is not moving and character building?
I mean, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
But it's on a
just
different level.
It's just funny. I know that was just a gag. That was just a funny moment. But no, I mean, I've done all sorts of things that over the years, and I started at the BBC doing traditional costume dramas and improvised dramas, and then to get out, went and did music videos and commercials. But it happens the first film I did, Con Air, was a big balls out action movie, with a lot of comedy, I have to say. I mean, to me, it's more of a comedy than anything else, because, that's what I kind of did a lot of in commercials. When I did commercials, was comedy, because it has actors and dialogue. And I was attracted to that script because of the characters, and not because it had a lot of action sequences, because in effect, it didn't actually have a lot of action sequences when I got the script. It was written by Scott Rosenberg, who wrote Beautiful Girls and Things to Do in Denver, and had done small character films. And that's what attracted it. Con Air, believe it or not, was a small character film before I got my hands on it. And but the characters were still there, and so I did this opera around it. But I've always been focused on that. When I did the next film, The General's Daughter, which was with Travolta, that was all character, and a very dark story, but still put humor in it. So I mean, I was kind of mix it up. I don't necessarily have a mantra or a manifesto that I have to stick to. I kind of approach every film with a different approach, a fresh approach, but it has to be true to what. So something like Expendables 2, it knows exactly what it is. It's tongue in cheek, winking at the audience, so you get be pure to that. But something like Old Guy is character driven drama with some high points of action and thriller moments and tension, but it's really about those three characters, and that's what drags you along. And you trick people in, probably, it's a hitman movie and there's action, but you trick them into watching the drama, because that's actually the best bits.
And again, I mean, I thought it was great. Like, just to reiterate, I thought to see that movie set in Belfast was a real kind of breath of fresh air for somebody who's from here. Yeah,
I hope so. Yeah, I mean, I tried to do it justice, and as to say, just treat it as a genuine. A lot of the crew were saying that as well. They said, "Oh, it's so weird we're not covering up signs and pretending this is New York, or pretending this is Australia or somewhere where you can actually or another planet. This is it's great to just shoot Belfast." So I'm glad about that.
Well, we'll leave it there, and I do hope that they were slightly different questions than you've been normally.
Yeah, it's completely different now. I've never had any of those questions. That's great. No, I just changed the answers. You can ask whatever you like. I just changed the answers. So, but I just say what I want to say in the end.
Oh no, it's been great catching up again, and every 4 or 5 years we seem to do it. So hopefully.
So if it's sooner next time. Sooner, I need to do more films quicker.
Fingers crossed, because I always enjoy them. So thank you, Simon.
Thank you. Nice to see you, Niall. Take care.
I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Movies in Focus podcast. You can download it wherever you get your podcasts. and I hope that you tell your friends about it. That's it for this time, and I'll see you at the movies.